rob mobs and smash and grabs are the new normal in California's blue cities as brazen thieves steal hundreds of thousands of dollars in merchandise in mere seconds. Southern California retail establishments are the ones getting hit the most. The Public Policy Institute of California reports a 5.8% spike in commercial burglaries in 2022. Now, that is a 15.7% rise from 2019, so a big rise. Organized retail theft cost California businesses over $19 billion in 2021. $19 billion. So, Tammy, I want to get your take. Let's go to this quote from California Governor Gavin Newsom. So now he's investing $275 million to try to stop some of this. And he said this. He said, enough with these brazen smash and grabs. With an unprecedented $267 million investment, Californians will soon see more takedowns, more police, more arrests, and more felony prosecutions. When shameless criminals walk out of the stores with stolen goods, they'll walk straight into jail cells. You know, as a native Californian, that's a little bit different rhetoric than we heard from Democrats during, the George Floyd summer riots. Will this make a difference?
I go back and forth between LA and New York, and partly it was because I was afraid of New York when I first moved out here and spend time here, and you go back home. It's horrible what's happened to Los Angeles. It's horrible what's happened to San Francisco and to New York. These are great American cities that are just being ground up. And I think that what Americans, certainly what Los Angelinos and San Franciscans care about is security for the families. Stores are shutting down as a result, right? Important stores in San Francisco, historic stores, shutting down, Gumps and the Nordstroms and places just, all those jobs go away with it. But I think that his rhetoric is one thing, right? You can arrest a few people, right? This was supposed to be defunding the police, and now you're throwing some money at it. The difference is what the DA wants to do, whether people are held. We've got that problem in New York. Whether or not they actually, face felony charges. You can say all the things in the world, but the fact is they're not changing their protocols. They're not changing the regulations. The DA is, whatever. They tried to recall him. That doesn't work. So Los Angelinos have got to realize that elections matter. And this is what frustrates me. This kind of rhetoric tells us that they know it's a problem and they know people don't like it, but it's to placate and to gain time. And it ruins the lives of these young people who think that this is now the way they're going to live the rest of their life. But the power tables will turn, and these individuals can either fix their lives or they're going to end up in jail for a long time eventually.
I guess, Joey, what I am worried about is, okay, so we can throw money at the problem, which is what Gavin Newsom is trying to do. But there's this cultural rot as a society. I mean, I was reading in Washington, D.C., a 16-year-old was killed over McDonald's sauce. Okay, there was this video making the rounds on Twitter of a 17-year-old filmed running. Yeah. They ran over and killed a cyclist. So, what do we do about that cultural rot?
I don't know. That's the problem. I know that one place I would point some blame here, if I were some of these retailers, they should be able to sue the state of California for their losses. When you, as a legislature, decriminalize theft, you are taking actions that take money from their pockets. I mean, these retailers are losing this money. What was the 19 billion in California alone, because of the laws the state legislature has passed to decriminalize theft. And so we look at like the mayor of Chicago, who scolds the press for calling thieves criminals, or calling these flash robberies gang activity. That is a literal gang of people committing a crime, and you scold people for using the right verbiage. These politicians need to be held accountable. Of course, you would think that would be at the ballot box, but there's all kinds of reasons why a lot of people don't trust that to be how you get rid of folks. Maybe in the court of law, maybe through lawsuits. I'm not sure what type of qualified immunity they have over something like this, but I think that if I were these retailers, I'd be paying the highest priced lawyers I could find to go get some of this money back from state legislatures and leaders who have put them in this path and really created liability for their business.
Joe, if these, it's largely, teenagers when we see videos of this happening. If there were actual consequences, would this stop?
Gavin Newsom's such a phony, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hearing that he will be the guy who replaces Joe Biden at the top of the ticket, because you look at his record in California, and you have the highest taxes in the country, and you have crime out of control like they do, and the highest poverty rate in the country, the highest homeless rate in the country, and the highest exodus out of a state in the country. And the reason why people are leaving so much is because Gavin Newsom, it's all window dressing. We're putting in a store $267 million to fight crime. All right. Why don't you declare that California cities are not sanctuary cities anymore? That could be a good start. Why don't you start calling out these DAs who police arrest people all day and these people end up back on the street? Until he starts saying those things and doing those things, I don't want to hear from this guy anymore. And I don't want to hear how great of a candidate he would be when he makes America California. I don't think that's a very good bumper sticker,
Well,
Lise.
you know, God help us, right?
God help us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.